The knife sliced through the envelope like it was my last shred of hope, and out spilled the foreclosure notice. Our family's brownstone, the one Dad built with his own calloused hands, now just another casualty of their greed. "Matthew, you idiot," I whispered to myself, my voice cracking in the empty kitchen. But it was too late. The stepmom's saccharine smile from last week's dinner replayed in my head, her fingers already twisting the keys to our downfall. And then the door creaked open, Michael's silhouette filling the frame, his eyes locking on mine with a pain so deep it mirrored my own, pulling me into the storm we'd both been dodging for years. I'm Matthew Hayes, 27, the kind of guy who grew up fixing leaky roofs in Queens with my dad before cancer turned him into a ghost haunting our checkbook. Dad was a plumber, salt-of-the-earth Irish-American, the type who'd crack open a beer after a 12-hour shift and tell stories about dodging rats in the subway tunnels. He met Elena when I was 15, Elena Vargas, all sharp cheekbones and sharper ambitions, fresh off a real estate hustle in Manhattan. She had a son, Michael, 2 years older than me, with that effortless cool that made every girl in high school swoon and every guy question his own reflection. They weren't blood, but after the wedding, they became our everything. Or so I thought. Fast forward a decade. Dad's gone 3 years, and Elena's blended family vision has curdled into something toxic. She married up quick after the funeral. Some Wall Street shark named Victor, whose idea of family bonding was signing us up for his timeshare in the Hamptons. Michael and I, we were the leftovers, scraping by in the old brownstone while they jetted off to galas. I worked doubles at the auto shop, grease under my nails, dreaming of the day I'd buy Dad's tools and start my own gig. Michael, though, he was the golden boy. Art school dropout turned barista with a sketchbook always tucked under his arm, sketching strangers on the F train like he was mapping their souls. The hook came undone that rainy October night in 2025, when the letter hit the mat. I'd come home early from a shift, bone-tired, only to find the mail slot stuffed with official seals. Foreclosure. Our home, the one Dad refinanced to pay for my community college tuition and Michael's failed gallery dreams, was being auctioned off because of unpaid liens.
Lien?
What liens? Elena had handled the finances after Dad died, cooing about how she'd take the burden off my plate. Turns out the burden was us. She'd siphoned the equity, funneled it into Victor's crypto schemes and her Botox fund. The numbers swam before my eyes. $450,000 gone. Poof, like Dad's laugh lines. I crumpled the paper, my chest heaving like I'd run from Coney Island to Central Park. That's when Michael walked in, rain dripping from his hoodie, a cardboard box of half-eaten bagels under one arm from his shift at the cafe. He froze, those hazel eyes, Dad's eyes, or so I'd always kidded him, widening as he read the headline over my shoulder. "Matt, this can't be real." His voice was a rasp, the kind that comes from swallowing screams. I shoved the letter at him, words tumbling out like spilled oil. "They took it all, Mike. Everything. We're squatting in a grave now." He didn't cry. Michael never cried. Not even when Elena caught him kissing that theater kid behind the bleachers in high school and called it a phase over family dinner. But his hands trembled as he set the box down, fingers tracing the foreclosure stamp like it was Braille for betrayal. We sank onto the sagging couch, Dad's old plaid relic, and the silence stretched, thick as the fog rolling off the East River. That's when the flashbacks hit. Unbidden. Elena's surprise trips where she'd whisk Michael away for bonding, leaving me with Victor's lectures on managing expectations. The way she'd rewrite Dad's will in hushed calls, claiming corrections. And Michael, always the buffer, flashing me that lopsided grin, saying, "Hey bro, we'll flip burgers if we have to. Hayes boys stick together." But we weren't boys anymore. I was staring at a man who'd become my anchor in the chaos, the one who dragged me to dive bars in Williamsburg when the grief clawed too deep, nursing IPAs while he doodled our initials on napkins. There was something electric in those nights, unspoken, the brush of his knee against mine under the table sending sparks I chalked up to too much whiskey. Gay? Me? Nah, I told myself, burying it under engine blocks and early sunrises. Michael, though, rumors swirled. The way he'd linger on those old Hollywood posters in his room, Rock Hudson's jawline etched in charcoal. But he never said a word, and neither did I. Stepbrothers don't cross those lines. Or so the world screams. The conflict ignited the next morning, gray light filtering through cracked blinds. I called Elena, voice steady as rebar. What the hell, Elena? The house. She picked up on the third ring, her laugh tinkling like shattered glass. Oh, Matthew, darling. It's not what you think. Victor and we had to protect the assets. For the family. Protect? From us? I paced the kitchen, phone hot against my ear, as Michael hovered in the doorway, brewing coffee like it was a ritual to ward off Armageddon. You mean your family? I spat. Dad's money, his sweat. Gone for your spa weekends? Her tone sharpened, Victor's baritone rumbling in the background. Watch your mouth, boy. Michael's fine with it. He knows it's for his future. Michael's? My gaze snapped to him, but he just stirred sugar into his mug, jaw set like concrete. Fine with it? The betrayal landed like a sucker punch. Had he known? All those late-night texts from her? The private talks? I hung up, slamming the phone on the counter. Did you know, Mike? Tell me you didn't sell us out. He flinched, mug sloshing. Matt, it's not. But I was already storming out, keys jangling, the door banging like a gunshot. Queen streets blurred past. Pizzerias hawking slices, bodegas glowing neon. As I drove aimlessly, radio blasting Springsteen to drown the roar in my head. Betrayal from Elena was one thing. From Michael? It gutted me. We'd shared secrets, like the time I confessed Dad's chemo bills nearly broke me, and he admitted sketching Elena's face as a monster in his journal. Or that humid July night 2 summers back, when a blackout trapped us on the roof, stars punching through city haze, and his hand lingered on my arm a beat too long, our breaths sinking until thunder cracked the spell. By noon, I was at the shop, wrench in hand, mangling a carburetor. My boss, old man Rizzo, clapped my shoulder. Hayes, you look like death warmed over. Family? I nodded, grunting. Family. What a joke. Hours bled into dusk, and my phone stayed dark, no texts, no calls. Pride kept me there, but fear gnawed. What if Elena's lies had poisoned him too? What if he'd chosen their glittering trap over our gritty truth? The climax crashed that evening, thunder rumbling like an omen. I pulled up to the brownstone, wipers slapping rain, only to find the porch light on and shadows moving inside. Elena and Victor, suits rumpled from some midtown schmooze, flanking Michael at the dining table strewn with legal pads. Matthew, Elena trilled, rising like a queen. We were just discussing the transition. Transition to what, eviction? Victor smirked, gold cufflinks glinting. Sign here, son. We'll set you up in a studio in Astoria. Fresh start. Michael's face was ash, eyes downcast, pen hovering. My blood boiled. Don't you dare. I lunged, snatching the pen, papers scattering like confetti at a funeral. Victor lunged too, grabbing my collar. Big mistake. I shoved him back, years of shop fights fueling the swing. His nose crunched, blood spraying the tablecloth. Chaos erupted. Elena screeching, Victor bellowing, me roaring. You thieves! Dad's legacy, and you pawn it like a Rolex. In the melee, Michael's voice cut through, raw, breaking. Stop! All of you, stop! He shoved between us, hands on my chest, holding me back as sirens wailed distant. Victor stormed out, Elena trailing with venomous glares, muttering about lawyers and disownment. The door slammed, leaving us in wreckage. Overturned chairs, blood-smeared linen, rain pattering the windows like applause. I collapsed against the wall, adrenaline crashing. Why, Mike? Why didn't you fight? He sank to the floor beside me, knees to chest, the boy I'd idolized fracturing before my eyes. Because I thought it would fix me. His whisper hung, heavy. Fix him? I turned, searching his face. Those freckles like constellations, lips bitten raw. Fix what? The floodgates cracked. Words poured. The silence he'd carried since 16, when Elena found his hidden sketchbook. Not monsters, but men. Loving men. Her therapy sessions. Victor's cold ultimatums. Shape up, or you're out. The pressure to be straight, successful, the son they could parade. He'd signed their papers in secret, hoping it'd buy silence, by acceptance. I betrayed you to save myself, Matt. And it didn't. It just hollowed me. My heart splintered. All those years, his distance wasn't rejection, it was survival. The knee brushes, the roof stairs, mirrors of my own buried ache. I reached out, tentative, cupping his face. Rain lashed the panes, but here, in our crumbling kingdom, truth bloomed. You're not hollow, Mike. You're the only real thing left. His eyes met mine, storms clearing, and he leaned in, not as brother, but as the man who'd haunted my quieter dreams. Our lips met soft, tentative, a dam breaking without fanfare. Salt of tears, warmth of home. No fireworks, just us, flawed, fierce, finally free. We didn't save the house. Auction came swift, Elena's lawyers circling like vultures. But in the eviction's wake, we packed Dad's tools into a U-Haul, divvied his stories like heirlooms. Michael sold a sketch series, Raw Portraits of Silenced Souls, to a Brooklyn gallery, the check seating our rent in a Bushwick walk-up. I launched Hayes Repairs, midnight calls from neighbors turning into steady gigs. Elena faded to holiday cards, Victor to a restraining order. Betrayal scarred, but it forged us sharper. Months blurred into a rhythm. Coffee runs where he'd doodle my grease-streaked hands. Late shifts where I'd find him waiting with takeout pho from the Vietnamese spot on Knickerbocker. Romance unfolded quiet, American dream style. No grand gestures, just shared subways and Sundays in Prospect Park. His head on my shoulder as leaves turned crimson. We talked legacies, not blood, but chosen. Dad's grit in my welds, Michael's lines capturing the unseen. One crisp November eve, a year post-knife, we stood on our new fire escape, city humming below. He handed me a sketch. Us intertwined against the skyline, not as steps but as roots. No more silence, he murmured. I pulled him close, the world vast and kind for once. In America's grind, where families fracture and fortunes flip, we'd stolen back our story. Not everything, but enough. The human spark. Love, unapologetic, enduring.